The whole idea is to take through this group of participants through what CAADP means, the background to CAADP, the principles of CAADP, the reason why CAADP is important, which is actually to guide the way we do business in agriculture in a way that is effective, in a way that is impactful to the farmers and to food and nutrition security for the region. So we're basically taking our participants through these principles. And then over and above that, CAADP being a framework that was developed in 2003, it was then further reconfirmed in the Malabo Declaration in 2014, where 7 commitments were agreed to and they've been signed off by member states. And so what we're doing now is to say, to what extent able to follow through on the commitments that it made. And then we're using the African Union biannual review report system to gauge the performance of each country against the various indicators that were designed in the process.
For most African countries, agriculture is the engine of economic growth, development, and transformation, though challenged by many factors, ranging from insufficient technology in agriculture, degraded soils, poor access to input and output markets, and poor weather pattern due to climate change, to mention but a few. This, therefore, calls for visionary direction if we are to see agriculture grow in Zambia, as well as the SADC region or the continent as a whole. The Malabo Declaration, therefore, provides commitments to transform agriculture across the continent, and as such, the government needs to know where the country is on the implementation of the Malabo Declaration, and also why we are at that stage.
The Malabo Declaration and the CAADP represent more than just frameworks. They embody our collective commitment to transforming agriculture across the continent. In Zambia, these initiatives hold profound implications for the future trajectory of our agricultural sector and the economy. First and foremost, the implementation of the Malabo and CAADP commitments is crucial for enhancing food security, most especially in Zambia. As we strive to feed our growing population, invest in agriculture, and improving productivity are not just options. They are an obligation. By aligning with the Malabo and CAADP framework, our countries can begin to make strides towards reducing food imports, strengthening resilience against shocks such as climate change, and adequately addressing hunger and, more importantly, the triple, if not the quadruple burden of malnutrition.
Principles of CAADP are very clear. There was a target, and there is a target of 6% average annual growth rate. We don't normally talk a lot about that, but it is also reported in the biannual report quite often. What we talk a lot about is the 10% of national budget to agriculture sector. We've been here in Zambia for the last 3 days, meeting with colleagues in the agriculture sector to discuss and train our colleagues on Malabo Declaration commitments. These are commitments in the agriculture sector that talk to issues of ending hunger, for instance, reducing poverty, reducing post-harvest losses, improving on information and knowledge management. And so these are the topics that we've been addressing these last 3 days to a point where a community of practice here in Zambia will be created for the purpose of networking and bringing together information.
So in terms of performance, as a country, we didn't really meet the benchmark that was set under this analysis. Data inaccessibility was one of the biggest problems that we had. But I'm happy and glad to report that at least some awareness is going on right now. The workshop that we're having today, which is spearheaded by CADESA, which is looking at the knowledge management, and quite a number of players have been invited. And this is going to help now a lot of stakeholders to understand.
I think that what has been put forward as indicators are sufficient so far, although some do not apply directly to every country, but each country can report on those that directly impact on them. Yes, we have what I can call targets, especially the famous one is the 10% from the public sector. But I think that we must move beyond the public sector. I think the private sector must come in full time. There are areas where the private sector can support. Development is not just about government doing this and that. Development is about all stakeholders bringing in the data so that when government is making policy decisions, when the private sector is making decisions on where they are going to invest, the decisions are evidence-based. Data is there, it has been analyzed. That way, we will grow as Africa. By the way, this training that we have undergone is a very good training because it's bringing to the fore and reminding some of us about Malabo as well as Maputo declarations, but also it's creating competences in the attendants, the participants, so that everyone may be able to participate and report and monitor on the Malabo implementation of activities.
Some of the key elements of this workshop is to bring together industry players to be able to understand what we need to do as practitioners, taking into account that we are 1 year before, the end of the CADIP reporting period. I look at this in hindsight and reflect on perhaps maybe where we could have done better. And one of the things that has come out from this workshop is that, we are actually implementing so many things that are related to the indicators within the CADIP. However, there are issues related to accessibility of data, as well as in certain exceptional cases where this information or data is not available.
We are here in Eswatini supporting the agriculture sector in a number of ways, specifically in understanding the continental level frameworks that guide agriculture development in Africa. That is the CADIP framework, which is also supported by the African Union reaffirmation through what they refer to as the Malabo Declaration. These are 7 commitments that were made by our member states, SADC member states, to the African Union to improve on agriculture. And so what we're doing is elaborating on what that means for Eswatini, how Eswatini can align more effectively with the regional level, which is the SADC level, but also the continental level, in terms of the agricultural frameworks. But beyond that, we also want to see the bigger picture. What are the big areas or the major areas that they need to improve on in order for agriculture to really play its role as industry or a lead growth factor for the economy?
Our gathering today underscores a shared commitment to transforming agriculture in our region. This is a vision that is firmly rooted in the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, popularly known as CADIP, and it is also reaffirmed through our collective endorsement of the Malabo Declaration in 2014, and before that, the Maputo Declaration in 2003. It is imperative that we confront the challenges that hinder our progress. Central among these is our ongoing struggle to meet the ambitious targets set in the Malabo Declaration. Challenges that are compounded by systematic issues in data collection mechanisms, knowledge management, and resource inventories. Let us consider our commitment under the Malabo Declaration to enhance investment in agriculture.
We're gathering here in the context of knowledge management. And knowledge management is one of the most critical areas. If you read the CADESA thematic areas, you will see there's knowledge management there. Without knowledge management, it's difficult to make progress in development. We've got all the relevant institutions here. So everyone has a voice. So that when we discuss issues, we move as a collective. We move at the same rhythm. Partnership and collaboration, even in this room, no competition. We just complement each other.
Knowledge management is the bedrock of effective decision-making
and policy implementation in the agricultural sector. In today's rapidly changing environment, the ability to capture, analyze, and apply knowledge is crucial for driving innovation and achieving sustainable development goals. By utilizing data-driven insights, stakeholders in the agricultural sector can make informed decisions based on evidence and trends rather than relying on intuition or guesswork.
In 2014, there was a review of the 10-year implementation of the Maputo Declaration, where heads of state in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, they agreed that they need to recommit to the CADA process and ensure that this CADA framework is being implemented by countries. Hence, now the Malabo Declaration came with improved targets on what the countries really need to do to achieve what was previously agreed, the 6% growth, ensuring the 10% investment in agriculture. They also looked at the objective and agreed that focus should be on improving agriculture productivity and food security, ensure that our growth is agriculture-led and inclusive, and then also promote overall economic development and reduce poverty in the continent. So this gives us as a country and our governments the assurance that when we commit and fully implement these goals, we will be able to address all the areas that we have committed to in Agenda 2063, in the SDGs, and also in the food systems pathways.
I wanted to talk about the results framework more from the point of view of how it aligns with the NAIP, with the National Agriculture Investment Plan, and also to some degree how it answers the question of, is CADAP a separate process altogether, or should it not be part and parcel of what we're doing?
The Malabo commitment speaks so much about taking advantage of knowledge management. And so our discussion, therefore, would be to foster a culture of knowledge management on how the institutions in the country would leverage knowledge management so that it can align itself with the Malabo commitments.
As a country, we are not on track. However, we are amongst the countries which are progressing well, and it is an honor for us. And one other thing that is very important for us is that as a country, we've been able to report consistently ever since the reporting cycle started in 2017. We are really grateful to the fact that there are some initiatives, there are some commitments whereby we are doing well, doing something on the ground, not on track fine, but those initiatives, those activities that we are doing towards achieving the Malabo targets, it is really helping the country. But really the development, the improvement we are seeing in the agriculture space, we are really happy about. And again, thank you so much, CADESA, for such an opportunity. It is.
On behalf of CADESA, the board, the secretariat, Professor Dlamini and your team, thank you so much for making it possible for this workshop to take place. But of course, without you, the participants, CADESA would not have been successful in hosting this particular workshop.
CADAP has been instrumental in guiding our actions and investments in the agricultural space with the ultimate goal of eradicating hunger, reducing poverty, and ensuring food security for all. Member states, through the Malabo Declaration, committed to adopting sound policy and practice for agricultural and rural development by allocating at least 10% of national budgetary resources for the implementation, mobilization of resources for investment in agricultural growth and rural development. Zimbabwe developed the Zimbabwe Agriculture Investment Plan, ZIPE, in 2017, This became the implementing tool for CADAP for Zimbabwe, and we have witnessed considerable improvement in our progress towards achieving Malabo commitments by 2025.
Zimbabwe is committed to the CADAP process that we committed to, that His Excellency the President committed to in 2003. So this workshop has basically been about an awareness of the fourth biannual review, which was looking at how Zimbabwe has been performing with respect to CADAP targets. This is basically in respect of the Malabo Declaration, where we have got 7 commitments that the heads of states and governments for Africa has made with respect to agriculture. They will all agree that transformation of agriculture is the way to ensure that African economies recover.
2 weeks ago, we had a reflection at a continental level on the 4th CADAP biennial review reports results. And it was quite concerning to realize that most of our countries in Africa actually are not on track in terms of the attainment of the commitments. We are here in Zimbabwe. We've been doing this sorts of engagement awareness where we bring together different stakeholders from the private sector, the non-state actor, and the public sector, and including academia, to reflect on how the country is performing based on the results of the CADAP biennial review, which allocates scores to each country based on a set of indicators that have been agreed upon to track how each country is performing. One observation about these reports shows that there are a number of challenges which countries are encountering, especially with regard to data collection or reporting at national level. So this will be an opportunity for stakeholders to reflect on how best they can address such gaps. Generally, most of our countries in the region have not been doing well in terms of the BR annual scores. Therefore, that's why we're also trying to sensitize them about this underperformance to see how they could make up. So CADESA has taken interest in assisting our member states to undertake this obligation by raising awareness by among the various stakeholders.
CADESA is a subsidiary of SADC established by member states through a charter, and it was established in 2010 and launched in 2021. Its mandate is to coordinate agricultural research and development efforts in the SADC region, and our goal is to sustainably reduce food and nutrition insecurity and poverty in the SADC region. And our objective is to increase smallholder productivity by adopting improved agricultural technology, husbandry, and marketing practices. We also seek to improve agricultural technology generation, dissemination, and adoption in the region through collective efforts, training, and capacity building. We developed our long-term strategy in 2020. It considers knowledge brokerage critical to ensure evidence-based policy decision-making within the agricultural sector. We take knowledge sharing serious at CADESA.
CADESA is mandated by the SADC Secretariat to be a knowledge brokerage in the region, and we have positioned ourselves as such in the region. And therefore, when the Malabo commitment training came on board, we saw it as an opportunity to enter that space and bridge the gap that existed between the Malabo commitments and knowledge management. And in the past BRs that have gone past the first, second, and third, they discovered that there was a gap of data, and knowledge management fits perfectly well in that space.
My presentation was basically looking at Zimbabwe's biannual review process report. The report was published some 2 months ago by the AU, and we were reviewing the scores that Zimbabwe attained against each theme. I think what is coming out is that the benchmarks are increasing on a constant basis. But meanwhile, in terms of performance, we noted that on some indicators we are doing well, but on most of the indicators we are not doing so well. So we want to look at how best can we arrest that situation so that we don't continue to be on a retrogressive or regressive sort of way, but so that we can make progress and change the course and attain or reach the benchmarks.
It's been very refreshing that FARA has been working with CADESA in the Southern Africa region to scale the knowledge management for agriculture development agenda in the continent. It's been heartwarming that knowledge management is at the heart of sustainable development. We also say that knowledge management is just like health insurance or travel insurance. You would wish to have it when it's already gone. So we think that knowledge management has taken a center stage, and we believe that in achieving the Malabo targets, it is going to be one of the key drivers. It's been refreshing that within the Southern Africa region, working with CADESA, who are the key leaders in the Southern Africa region, the knowledge management strategies and policies that they have developed through the Continental Initiative on Knowledge Management for Agriculture Development agenda is beginning to take grounds. We believe that when countries are able to take on knowledge management as a key portfolio, it will help strengthen the mechanisms for decision making, because it will provide the necessary evidence to guide and to help decision makers to make decisions at every level. One of the most important things to note is that this training has revealed that many countries still have gaps in terms of even how they've reported the Malabo figures. Based on this, we think that knowledge management is going to help the countries in terms of building the necessary evidence to back the figures that have been reported through the biennial review report.
My name is Joshua Zinzombe. I'm a young farmer here in Zimbabwe, Mashinal and Central Shamba. This workshop has been a pinnacle of hope for us young farmers. We have been given a chance to voice out or to give our views to the world on how agriculture, especially here in Zimbabwe, in particular, and Africa in general, can grow. We want to thank CADESA for letting us being part and parcel of this very important training.